In this video, I'm going to show you how to make this boo with the jack-o'-lantern pattern brush that we created in our fall design series. I'll come over to a project I've already opened up, and over in the brushes panel, I do have the pattern brush loaded, but I'm going to pull it out of the brushes panel. And because I don't have the original tiles right at my fingertip, I'm just going to select all of these. I want to reduce them so that they're a better size for my lettering. And so I'm going to go up to Object and then Transform, Scale, and I'm going to scale them to 25%, and I have Scale, Strokes, and Effects checked, and I'll say OK. And now I need to ungroup these, and so I'll use the keyboard shortcut Shift Command G. I'll start with the jack-o'-lantern, which is my side tile. I'll drag it into the brushes panel. That brings up the new brush dialog box, and I'm going to select pattern brush and say OK. And I'm going to name this small jack-o'-lantern pattern brush, and then we'll say OK. Now I'll get my outer corner tile next, and I'll hold down the Option key, and I'm going to drop that in the first bin, and that is the outer corner tile bin, and say OK. And then I'll select my black square, which is the inner corner tile, hold down the Option key, and I'm going to drag it to the third from the right bin. And we can look here in the pattern brush options dialog box. That's the inner corner tile bin. I'll say OK. Next, I'm going to select my start tile. I'll hold down the Option key and place it in the second to the last bin. And we can look here that it is placed in the start tile bin in the pattern brush options dialog box, and say OK. And then finally we'll do our end tile, hold down the Option key, and it goes in the end bin. And then we're going to say OK. All right, I can delete these now. And I'm going to start out with the Ellipse tool, and that's keyboard shortcut L. I'll click on the artboard, and that brings up the Ellipse dialog box. I'll type in 3 inches for the width, tab down, and type in 3 inches for the height, and then press the return key. That gives me my first circle. I'll come to the Properties panel, and I'm going to give it a 1-point black stroke. Now I'll get the Selection tool, keyboard shortcut V. I'm going to raise this up just a little bit. Now I'm going to hold down the Shift and the Option keys, and that allows me to make an exact copy and place it directly beneath my first circle. And then I'll release my mouse. Next, I'll get the Rectangle tool, keyboard shortcut M, and click on the artboard to open the Rectangle dialog box. I'll type in 3 inches for the width, tab down, type in 6 inches for the height, and press the return key. Now I'll get the Selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and I'm going to center my rectangle over these 2 circles. I'll select all 3 of these objects and get the Shape Builder tool, which is keyboard shortcut Shift M, and I'll hold down my mouse and drag over the pieces that I want to join together. And then I have 3 pieces left that I want to delete. And so I'm going to just press down the Option key, and I'll drag my mouse over these, and Illustrator deletes them. Now while my B shape is still selected, I'm going to get the Pencil tool, and that is keyboard shortcut N. Now I'm careful to make sure I'm on the line, but I want to just draw a little round edge here and remove that point. And after I do that, I'm going to go over to where the Pencil tool is located on the left toolbar, and I'm going to press down, and that brings up some other options. I need the Smooth tool, and I'm going to just draw over this line and smooth this area out a little bit, and I think that's going to be okay. I'm going to come to the Brushes panel, and we're I'm going to click on the small jack-o'-lantern pattern brush, and we have our first letter, which is the letter B. And we do have a little distortion here on the B, but I don't think that's going to be just horrible. So let's go ahead and let's make our O's. I'll use the Ellipse tool, keyboard shortcut L, and click on the artboard to open up the Ellipse dialog box. And I'm going to, this time, make a 4-inch width by 5-inch height ellipse. I'll press the return key, get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, move it up a little bit, and apply the pattern brush. And then I'll hold down the Option key and drag and make an additional copy. Now I want the B to rotate a little bit to the left. I'll get the rotate tool, keyboard shortcut R, and just slightly rotate it. And I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and now we'll rotate the second O to the right. I'll get the rotate tool, keyboard shortcut R, and just slightly drag to the right. And then I'll get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and we'll play with this just a little bit, get it where I want it. Next I'll get the paintbrush tool, and that is keyboard shortcut B, and I'm going to just draw a little line down, and I don't like the way that ended up, so I'm going to undo that. Keyboard shortcut Command Z, and I'm going to do it again. There, that's a little smoother. I think I'm going to use that. And then once more the Ellipse tool, keyboard shortcut L, and I'll press on the artboard to open up the Ellipse toolbox, and we'll type in 1-inch width and 1-inch height, and then say OK and apply the pattern brush to this. Get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and this may be just a little tall, so I'm going to get the direct selection tool, keyboard shortcut A, and I'm going to select all these because they're so close together, and just drag down a little bit. And there are too many anchors here, and I don't like that. So I'm just going to delete that all, and we're going to draw one more. And this time I'll use the line segment tool, and that's keyboard shortcut \, and we won't have that problem anymore. I'll get the pattern brush here and get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V, and that is much neater. Now you can play with these and make them any shape that you want, especially the O's, but I am going to add an outer border around the pattern brush, similar to what I did with our frame in the previous video. So I'll select all the letters and my exclamation point. I'll press Command C to make a copy, and then Command B to paste in back. Now the back copy is the one that is selected because it is the most recent one that I have created. And so I'm going to just come over to the brushes panel, and I'm going to click on Basic. I don't want the pattern brush to be applied to that back stroke. Instead, I'm going to come to the Properties panel, and I'll come over to the stroke icon, and I'm going to apply the CMYK color 50-0100. Now you can't see it because it's hidden behind the jack-o'-lantern stroke, but we're going to increase this, and we'll just keep increasing it until we see the green line. And I'm going to make this actually pretty thick. And then with it selected, I'm going to come over to Object, Path, Outline Stroke. And now Illustrator is recognizing the green part of our pattern as an object instead of as a stroke. And so I can then come over and add a stroke. So I'll click on the stroke color icon, and I'll give it a black 1-point stroke. Now I'm going to deselect these, and there are a few changes that I'm going to need to make. First of all, I want my B to be behind the O. And so I have both the jack-o'-lantern part of the brush and the green part of the brush selected, and I'll use the keyboard shortcut Shift Command left bracket, and that moves the B back behind this layer. Now I want my second O to be in front of the first O, and so I'll use the keyboard shortcut Shift Command right bracket, and that places this O on top of the first one. Then I'm going to get the direct selection tool, keyboard shortcut A, and I'll select these top two anchors here, and I'm just going to use my up arrow tool, and I'm going to raise these anchors, and then I'll pull on the handles and slightly round that. I want to join the round part of the exclamation point with the straight part of it, the green that is. And so I'll select the bottom two anchors here, and I'm going to lower them to where they on top of this round part. Then let's select both the long part and the circle, and we'll come to the Pathfinder tool and we'll join these together. And now I'm going to group these. I'll use the keyboard shortcut Command G. And that's how I created the boo using our jack-o'-lantern pattern brush. Now I used shapes to create this, but let me just hide this and let's open up a new layer, and let me show you a couple of other ways that you can make letters. You can use the paintbrush tool, which is keyboard shortcut B, and we can make an A and cross it. You can get the pencil tool, keyboard shortcut N, and we can make an A that way. And if you don't like how you made it, you can just draw right back on top of that, and it'll make a change. And then here we go, and let's get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V. I'll select that and come over to the brushes panel, and here's an A. And you can use the line segment tool, keyboard shortcut backslash, draw the line, draw the line, draw the line, and then join these all together, Command J, so that it is one piece here. I need a center line here, so let's hold down the Shift key to make that straight. Get the selection tool, keyboard shortcut V. Now let's apply the pattern brush, and that's a pretty good looking E. Now I'll use my arrow key to move this over slightly, and then I'll use the keyboard shortcut Shift Command left bracket to put it behind the other layer. So you can see, get some ideas of how to create letters, and you sometimes have to tweak them a little bit after they've been made, but it's a fun way to decorate a newsletter or make a poster. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and the entire fall design series. I'm going to be working on some Thanksgiving ideas next, so be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a single episode. Thank you so much for watching. Bye now.